Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be mocking up a supercharged 427 cubic inch LS in this Vega. So it used to have a big block nitrous motor in it. My dad's been working on getting that motor plate kind of mocked up in here and getting this LS set up. So this thing is going from full-on race car with a big block nitrous combo to a street car with an LS in it. We talked about in the other video, this is a 427 cubic inch Borowski supercharged with the Whipple blower on top of it. We'll get info on the blower, but we're gonna go ahead and get the motor plate on here and then get this actually sat in the car so he can finish mounting, getting the bolts set here. What he ended up doing was putting these bars right here to tie onto the frame because the big block was like 3 inches longer. So now the LS sits back in here. So we're gonna get the mock-up block out of here, get that set in here, and then he can start building headers and finish mounting the motor plate and everything to these mounts there. And then this thing will be fully mounted. There'll be time to start running a bunch of wires, do a bunch of stuff. Then he'll have to pull everything back out, finish welding everything that he wants to do. It's kind of in and out a bunch of times when you're mocking stuff up and making new mounts for everything. So something we gotta be real careful with. He already had to move one of the grounds out because right here, as you guys can see on the car, the firewall is flat with the mid plate on it. So pretty much no room other than like the firewall sits right flat right here. So it's gonna be a tight fit, at least for the back of the engine, but we should have tons of room to the front for this thing. Something we're looking at on this is kind of a pain when you go to mount up an LS is where do you grab the thing from? Because if you grab from the header bolts, you pull on the valve covers. Yeah, you got to keep this open back here. So usually we go from like the head here and then like the head over here because those are kind of the areas that you can get to pull the bolts out once you start getting them mounted up. That way we don't have to take all the supercharger and everything off and try to like lift it with the valley or any of that. Getting the transmission all unhooked, but we got to keep all the bolts floating in there so it'll keep hanging the transmission in the mid plate. It's kind of a nice thing with a car with a mid plate because at least it'll stay in there when you go to pull that. You don't have to like hold the tranny up or anything or put a mount on the tranny. So should be good there.
Yep.
Try to pull it out and see if we got all of them loose all the way.
Yep.
It's kind of a cool little deal. So what'd you make them for?
Just wedges, so whenever things are to make it tight. So instead of trying to, because you don't always have just a
you're trying
1/8 inch
measure, right? Like
so you got a quarter, yep. So you move it. Stuff, which this was all pretty square, but still the same when it's not, just so you can get it snug because it's always hard to get it right on the dimensions. So
yeah, you're trying to keep everything nice and level.
Use a tapered shim and
yeah,
you can slide it in and locks everything in.
How'd you cut those?
Just on my bandsaw.
Oh, just at that angle, just slightly. This little thing's sweet. He has this bandsaw. I use the crap out of it, and it cuts so nice. If you guys are looking for a saw in your garage, this is the way to go.
Yeah, that's been one of the.
That thing's been nice.
That tool and that tool, I wish I could afford it whenever it was first starting.
Yeah, this table, you
don't
use
have
the crap out of this.
So, yeah, this is a second, third set of hands.
All right, so we're gonna work on getting that thing out of there now. So we're trying to get this thing to lift somewhat even, so when it goes in nice and even. But this thing weighs a ton, and then that blower is a huge amount of weight, and it's not probably the most even weight with like the pulley and everything off to that side and the drive and all of that. So a little bit of back and forth to try to get this thing to pick up somewhat flat. Let's see how that works. So either way, this front corner needs to dip.
Yeah, but at least it'll get us. Like we can balance it and get it there. It's mostly just so it hangs
sure
front to back.
Yeah, we're fairly flat there. Yeah, you're past it.
That ain't too bad, huh?
No, at least by hand we can just kind of lift it, square it up, and then one of us can get underneath and get the tranny bolts in.
Get it into these here pins.
Yeah.
Actually, I might have to knock them pins out a little bit too.
You can push them further out. Oh,
yep. Since we got a mid plate.
Yeah. Oh, so then you can get it.
Knock them out of the.
Set them further in so they can get a hold of the tranny too, since you got to go that extra little depth.
Yeah, because right now 1/4 inch, that'll just get it.
That'd just barely be.
Barely in the tranny, which the tranny's got that taper, so it really won't even be into them. So.
Yeah, definitely. Push that in a little bit further. Adding some custom parts already. Got it. So this little thing is taken out He had some longer ones. Here's the pin that he ended up making, and if you compare that to that, it'd barely been in there, and it still wouldn't have hardly been on the tranny holding it. So this will be much better for the setup that we got.
Every motor you get a new engine stand.
You always get a new crate. First little issue right there is the valley cover just hangs over the back of the block just a tiny bit, so it actually hits. It's not perfectly flat with the back of the block, so that messes with the mid plate, unfortunately. Looks like we'll be coming right back out with it, huh?
Yep, come out and file her off and go back in.
Try again. You think it's got a big block in it, the small block will just pop right in, and not quite.
Not quite.
There's the dang culprit right there. You guys can see it just hangs off a little bit further than the back of the block. Oh, we got it filed down. Now we clear the back of the block. Got to take off a little material there. Now we should be good to set this back in there and get it tightened up and mount it in the car. They always say when you build something, you usually build it 2 or 3 times, even if you're just doing an engine swap.
And it all lines back up with where I had it, so.
Perfect. Well, as you guys can see, got the tranny mounted up. Everything's sitting in there. It's looking pretty cool. It's pretty big, even though it's just the LS with that blower. It changes it up, but we're gonna get these things tacked up real quick.
Get in there okay?
Okay. Let's try to get all 3, but. Ready?
Yep. So whichever one you want to get that other corner out from it there.
Sure.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, so we got a couple tacks there in the back on the plate, tack up here on the front on the plate. And we're gonna get that side tacked in. He puts this little tray there, kind of webs it in, as well as gives you a place to kind of set the engine down on and slide it back into place. So it makes it a little bit easier installing it up.
Yeah. That way it's a little forgiving. You're not dropping it past the. You get it close. You're not banging your steering and
yeah,
all your other components.
Makes it really easy to set
drop
it
it
in.
on the rack like somebody done before.
Oops. There we go. Got some welds up on the front tubes. We tacked a little bit more on the back side, just so it can hold all the weight, and then he can punch his holes in the plate and get everything fully mounted with the engine in here. But otherwise, I think you're right with that little bit of a cowl hood. I don't know. This is pretty. This is where it'll have clearance right here. Up towards the front. It's pretty tall up towards the front.
Yeah.
This is pretty big here.
Might be right on the edge of that.
Yeah.
Hood.
It looks cool.
Clearing or not, but I think it's a 4-inch. Well, if it's as big as the one he's got, it'll definitely should clear.
Oh yeah.
Well,
his old hood's back there on the back, but it's got a. Yeah, so this is the old hood, and it does it. The cowl comes right up from the beginning, but this was for the big engine and everything. So now it's got an LS in it. So LS Swap Vega, there it is. Ta-da!
Just that easy.
It's just that easy, no problem. Looks good though.
Retape this.
Yeah, the tape started to. It was doing good. That's some nice tape, whatever they put on that, but.
I don't know what that stuff is there. Looks like heating air conditioning tape, but it sticks pretty good.
Yep.
You got the butterfly crack.
This thing's got a huge throttle body, and it's drive-by-wire, but it's all in that M-Tron, so it's all pre-tuned. So hopefully it idles good when we get this thing fired up. Never messed with an M-Tron ECU. I'm sure once we fire it up, we'll take a look at everything. I'll help them if they need something on it, but hopefully, I mean, it made 1,200 on pump gas. I bet it's just a little bit idle because of our elevation. Hopefully this thing will run pretty good, but he's got to now figure out where this grommet's going to go through the firewall, kind of figure out where he wants to mount the ECU up inside. As you can see in here, there's not a ton of room, but he will have some room back here up under the dash to figure out where that's all going to go. When we were looking at it earlier, it's kind of weird. This is the thing that actually communicates. It's a little CAN bus deal. This is actually what communicates with the computer. So So it doesn't even use a USB, it uses this like Ethernet cable, and it's for the CAN bus system. So you gotta also figure out how to adapt that over to his race pack dash inside, which we were looking at a little bit earlier. They make like the other side of this, and then it's just open-ended, and then you got to tie it into a module, and all the fun things when it comes to wiring up a EFI system. Get everything plumbed up here.
Yeah, for the puke tank.
You got your lines for the intercooler.
Yeah, it's
tank
to and from.
And then
back the breathers.
Oh yeah, both the breathers, you got to come over to a tank.
I'm sure those need to go to a tank.
Yep. So you might have to build a little tank or something, or mount some catch cans in here or something.
I think there's one on the radiator. I'll have to see. I might have to put a Y, take it to it.
What we're looking at is look how little this fuel line is. That thing's tiny. Little quick clips. I mean, it's clean, but seems like a little line, but it is just set up for regular gas, not like ethanol or methanol. So that's kind of part of it. Going ahead and toss the radiator on here because we know this clears. So that actually looks like it's gonna work out pretty dang well. Yeah, it's gonna be like right there, but if that's clears, you think what, it comes up to, and then the cowl kind of takes off from there?
Yeah, I think that's about where it's
at. Or that
at.
might just barely sit inside the cowl?
Because this is the front end, so it's...
Yeah, so that's gotta sit underneath the...
somewhere.
Or right there in the corner of the cowl maybe? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it looks like that same cowl might be about perfect for this thing.
If I can get that... I think it's a Corvette. To me, this reminds me of a Corvette size. Or Whipple probably has one that comes out.
Yeah, try to get a little bell mouth or something. What's your plan? You're gonna pretty much leave the engine in, get the motor plate finished.
I was gonna remove it, but I think I might just leave it. I'll get it while I can welded. Leave it fastened, that way I can do my takeoff from my fuel lines, my wiring, and then I'll mark it where I'm gonna punch my hole. Start building my headers and stuff, and then when I remove it, then I can paint all the bars, do all that stuff at one time instead of a couple of times in and out, because I was going to finish this, then put it in, but that's just too much in and out.
This side should be real easy. I mean, this thing had gigantic headers on it before, so headers shouldn't be too big of a deal at all, but you never know,
yeah,
I guess.
The motor was further forward.
Yeah, now you're tucked more up against get the block and stuff, but try to wrap it down. They are going to take the exhaust and go down underneath the car, so
my header was on this side would have been this much further forward.
Yeah.
First tube, but granted they're bigger tubes. And
yeah. So that's part of it, but
this just looks like a tighter package this way to get it to swing into a...
When you gain, you lose.
Yeah.
Yep. So he'll have to be working on that, which we'll keep you guys updated on that. Got some really cool pieces. I can see them right now, but we're gonna save that for another video. For the exhaust, it's gonna be pretty slick. So otherwise, I think that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed seeing this cool piece of, I don't know, this thing's badass. Like big blower and everything. It's gonna be fun to have kind of a blower car that's around and we're messing with and stuff. Just an LS, this is different. It's just not your typical turbo LS. And this thing should make plenty of power, drive the crap out of it, and have some fun with it. So lots more hopefully on this to come as we get this thing in here, and it's gonna be interesting.
Keep moving forward.
It's gonna be fun to see how this car acts with this engine combo and stuff in it compared to, well, this thing had a big block with a blower on it before all the nitrous stuff.
Yeah,
so.
It might have been a 540.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
With I think it was an 871, or it was something big old blower.
Yeah, so it was way bigger package and everything.
Yeah, it had twin carburetors on it.
No EFI though.
No EFI.
First time this car's gonna ever have EFI on it. And once you go EFI, I don't think you go back.
No reason to go back.
Oh, there's not.
Not at this point.
No, we're not going back to horse and buggy. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it EFI. I think from here on out, I think the LS will be really happy with. So if you guys want to see more on this build or anything else, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video.